Hi, I'm Tanya Lauer, and I'm an employee assistance counselor with the University of Arizona. So our goal today is to focus on de-escalation. I want to start with the importance of having patience and compassion for ourselves and for the work that we're doing. And while it's really helpful to go over a training on de-escalation and some tips, it's also important to remember that we have a limited scope of influence, and sometimes we can really help with de-escalating a situation, and sometimes that isn't possible even when we do all the steps and we really show up with the intention of helping. So remembering that our humanity and having humility is a really important first step. Another important overlay for this discussion is safety first. So if there's a question about your safety in a situation, it's really important that you have backup support and that you have people that you can communicate with and contact if you don't feel safe, and that you also know resources for the person who is escalating so that person can also stay safe if there's a concern about safety. So before we begin, safety first. So I'm going to take a few minutes to go over 5 different steps to help with de-escalation. The first one is listening. The second one is awareness about our presentation, our physical presentation, but also our voice and the way we present. So awareness is the second step. The third is offering help and support with clear guidelines and boundaries. So step 3 is kind of a double. There's 2 communication pieces that are happening, and that's really important for that third step, and I'll go over that in a minute. The fourth step is to seek help and support, and the last step is to reflect and debrief if that opportunity is available for you. I know every situation is different, but I'm going to go over some steps that are really helpful in most situations. So to begin with, listening. And I want to share with you that listening is an underrated skill. Really listening and hearing someone is so important, and a basic human need is to feel heard and understood. So sometimes that's all that's needed to de-escalate, is to hold space and take a moment or minutes to really listen to someone and hear their concern and what their frustration or agitation may be. So listening. And what can be helpful also for building that skill of listening is saying, I hear you, and continuing with letting the person know that you heard them. So saying, I heard you say, etc., whatever they said, and filling that in, just to make sure. So often conflict is about misunderstanding and miscommunication. So clarify that you're listening and you're hearing whatever the person is escalating about. So making that clear. So that's step 1. The second step is awareness about our presentation when we are trying to help and when we encounter a situation. So becoming more aware of your physical presentation. So noticing if there's tension in your face, how your shoulders are, if your shoulders are coming up, or if you're crossing your arms. Noticing your physical posture. Noticing if you're moving towards the person or moving away. So really becoming aware of the physical presentation. One thing we want to do is stay neutral in how we're encountering the situation. So neutral with our posture, staying open with our posture, and neutral with our stance. If you're standing, it's helpful to even stand at an angle and not directly at the person. That can feel less intrusive or threatening in a situation. Just a physical posture. And then really noticing also if we're physically mirroring the person. So if they're really upset, noticing that physically we're also not showing a display of escalation ourselves. So really becoming mindful of that. And the reason, even if we're trying to hear the person more clearly and we're leaning in, that can feel intrusive and may increase the escalation. And if we're moving away for whatever reason, the person may feel like we're leaving them, and that could also escalate. So breathing can help us anchor and hold a neutral posture. We also want to be aware of our voice. So the volume of our voice, our cadence, and sometimes when we're under stress or trying to help someone who's escalating, our voice can start to mirror or become similar to that person's voice. So again, really holding our own voice, even focusing on slowing down and being really deliberate with our responses. So noticing that, becoming aware of our physical affect, the way we're displaying our emotion, and how we're communicating with our language and our words. The next step, number 3, is to offer support and guidance and help with clear boundaries, with very clear guidelines. So an example of that would be, how can I help you? And this is what I can offer. So offering up options and being really clear about limits and boundaries. So this is what I can offer. And how can I help you within these guidelines and these boundaries? If the person continues to escalate, when you clearly communicate what you can help with and what the guidelines and boundaries are, at that point, it's really important again to listen and then seek help or support. And at that point, letting the person who's escalating know that I think I'm going to need to connect with my support here, whatever that person's title or position is, letting them know that you're going to communicate and that you're going to step away and make sure that they have a support from someone else and that help is on the way just from someone else at that point. I will tell you, it is helpful, if this is available for you, to have another person or backup. And sometimes just to change and having a different person step in can really make a difference. So stepping aside and offering that person another option for their communication. Once you've removed yourself from the situation and that interaction, it's really important then to reflect about what happened. How is it affecting you? How are you going to carry that or not throughout your day and your week? So it's so important to focus on your self-care. And while you're responsible for your communication, your presentation, you're not responsible for someone else's escalation. So keeping that in mind and really focusing on your self-care so this incident doesn't continue and build momentum or even stress for you. It's also really helpful to debrief, because maybe there was a systemic issue and a reason. Maybe there's a pattern with people or circumstances where there are escalations. And so noticing that and having people to debrief with, people you can communicate with if there are issues with the system. And the reason for that is for prevention, so you don't continue to encounter situations where there is escalation. So again, it's so important to embrace being human and your intention to help and be a support. And while that can make such a difference in an interaction with someone de-escalating, sometimes it's really important to have some help and to have someone else step in and support you. And every interaction we have is a learning opportunity to grow our skills around de-escalation. But here is a starting point with 5 different skills. So I'll recap them really quickly. The first is listening. The second is awareness about our physical presentation, our verbal communication. The third is offering help and support with clear guidelines and boundaries. The fourth is seeking help and support. And the fifth is reflecting and debriefing. Thank you so much for participating in this opportunity to discuss de-escalation. I hope it's useful for you moving forward. And thank you for all the help and support you're offering for our community.